Hi, this is Chef Dave Bishop from The Chef to You. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making a stuffed pork loin. Delicious dish the whole family's going to love. Easy to do, very few ingredients. Let's take a look at those ingredients and get started. For the stuffing part of our pork loin today, we're going to be using stovetop stuffing, the cornbread mix. We're going to be using 4 tablespoons of butter and a cup and a half of water that it's calling for. Then we're going to add 1/4 cup of onions, 1/4 cup of finely diced celery, 1/4 cup of dried cranberries, 1/2 cup of diced pecans. This is going to go in our stuffing. And over here we've got 2 tablespoons of Italian dressing, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and 2 tablespoons of a citrus. You can use lemon juice, pineapple juice, orange juice, which I have here. You can also use an apple cider, does a good job. We're going to use this as a marinade to brush on the outside. It's going to help in the coloring. And over here we got salt and pepper as needed, and we got about 1/2 teaspoon of rosemary, which is going to go on top. That's going to give an awesome flavor to this roast, and it's going to help in the gravy at the end. We got the butter in. Let's add our onions and our celery. We don't want to overly brown these. We basically want to get them al dente and a nice translucent on the onions. Let's go ahead and add our 1/2 cup of pecan pieces, a 1/4 cup of dried cranberries. Let's let those cook for a couple minutes. We're going to add our hot water to this and bring it almost to a boil, and then put our stuffing mix in. We're going to add our water real slowly so it doesn't splash back at us. Let's go in with our stuffing mix. Stir it up and let's take it off the stove. Let's take a look at our loin real quick. This is a boneless pork loin, basically a boneless pork chop. This is about 3.5 pounds here. What we're going to do is we're going to take our time. We're going to cut this a little over 1/2 inch thick, and we're going to lay it out like a large piece of paper. Then we're going to roll it back up with the stuffing in the middle. And you notice this one has very little fat on it. If you do have a fat cap on it, when we roll it up, our goal is to put that fat cap on top. So as it cooks, that fat will seep down into the loin and keep it nice and moist. Let's start over here in this corner, and with a sharp knife, just take our time. We're going to cut about a 1/2 inch thick piece, and we're just going to keep working that distance. As you're cutting across, kind of roll the meat back so you get like a flat piece of paper, and eventually we'll have the whole thing laid out. Just take your time, nice even strokes. We got our loin laid out. Let's go ahead and take our stuffing, set it right on top for right now, and then we're going to spread it out. Depends on the size of your loin. You may not need all the dressing. We're going to stop right here, and we're going to push it all the way to the top here. We're going to leave about 2 inches on this edge because that's going to be where we're going to end up. I'm going to add 1 more spoonful. I got a little more than I need. We'll just keep this warm and serve this on the side. Now I'm going to start here, bring it up very slowly. We want to roll it very gently. Don't squeeze it. And keep rolling it until we got the weight on top. And that's what we want to look for when we get done right here. Alright, that may seem a little difficult first time. What you may want to do is re-roll the video and watch it a couple times till you feel comfortable with that. Our Italian dressing we have, our soy sauce, and our orange juice. Combine those two together. We're going to brush these on top of the loin. Put a good coating on here. We're going to save half of this. We're going to brush after 1/2 hour. That looks good and coated there. Let's take some more black pepper. Sprinkle just a little black pepper across here. Our last herb we're going to use is going to be some rosemary. It's going to brown a little bit, and it's going to get down into the flavor of the gravy, and it's really an enhancement to this dish right here. Alright, let's use all we got there. Next thing we want to do, we want to leave this pan. We're going to put about 2 tablespoons of water in the bottom, and that's it. We don't want a lot of liquid here. We're not trying to braise this, we're trying to roast it. To keep this roast together for the first half an hour, what we want to do is we want to take a piece of aluminum foil. We'll put it down there and tuck it in tight around the roast so it stays into a round ball. Adding our water. We're going to bake this in the oven at 325 degrees for half an hour with the foil on it. We're going to remove the foil. We're going to brush it with the marinade. And we're going to put it in another half hour to 45 minutes until we have an internal temperature of 165 for at least 15 seconds. Roast out of the oven, place it over here on a cutting board. Let's take a piece of foil over the top of the roast. We're going to let this rest for about 20-25 minutes so when we cut it, it's going to be nice and firm. Let's take a look at our pan we have here. We have a little bit of broth left in here. We want about 1.5 cups of broth altogether to make the gravy. So let's go ahead and add about 1 cup of water to this. Let's take a fork and we want to get all those drippings off the bottom of the pan. That's going to give us color and it's going to give us a lot of flavor. Brought our broth over to the stove. I brought it to a boil. I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of beef base. We're going to stir this in. While I'm stirring this in, let me just mention to you, I like to use the Tones brand of the McCormick's that I can buy at Sam's. It's a good flavor. If you cannot get this, you can use a bouillon cube. Just be careful of the amount of salt that's in the bouillon cubes. Let's stir this and bring this to a good rolling boil. Coming to a boil, I've got 2 tablespoons of cold water, 2 tablespoons of flour. We're going to mix these two together. You want to stir these really well till there's no lumps in them. And this is going to be our thickening agent for today. Our flour mixture is nice and smooth. Let's add about half of it and very quickly stir that in. We may not need all this. Again, it's a judgment call on how much gravy you're going to need and how thick you want it. We're going to reduce this down to the thickness that we want and we'll go ahead and put it in a dish. Our roast is rested. Let's go ahead and cut it. I'm going to cut it about 1/2 inch thick slices. I'm going to put it on this platter. Let's take one last look at our dish before we head to the table. This was a 3-pound loin when we started. It took about an hour to cook. It's going to be a judgment call when you cooking this off. Depends on the size in your oven. Make sure it's 165 for 15 seconds. Very important. We're dealing with pork. You want to make sure that stuffing is good and hot on the inside. Beautiful presentation. I put 7 slices here. I got 10 out of the roast altogether. I put some roasted potatoes here. Good steamed broccoli. Beautiful dish. I drizzled just a little bit of that sauce over the top. I don't want to overdo it because I want to be able to put it on when I put it on the plate and have that plate presentation. This is Chef Dave Bishop, cooking and teaching. Till next time, may God bless.